Ooh, I wonder how many people are already posting hate comments because of the title. It's just like the video I made exactly 1 year ago. Well, to celebrate 1 year since that episode about Rainbow Dash's sexuality, let's do another controversial video about her. All joking aside, for the record, before we start, if you are mentally challenged and you take offense to anything in this video about autism, please note that this was not my intention. Being autistic myself, I have nothing bad to say about it or anyone with it or any other sort of mental disability. I did my best to keep this video from coming across as offensive, but if you still interpret it in such a way, I apologize and hope you do not resent me for it, as I did my best to prevent this. If you are not mentally challenged and you take offense to anything in this video about autism, then that's kind of dumb. Like, I don't understand why you would. Let's just get this out of the way first and foremost, since this was the main reaction to my first Rainbow Dash-centric video. Yes, I know she's a cartoon character, and anything about her that isn't staying in the show is up to us to decide for ourselves. This is just me having fun, and if you don't like that, kindly take your business elsewhere because I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. And to get another thing out of the way, yes, as I'm sure you all expected, this video is going to have a lot of focus on testing 1, 2, 3. In fact, let's start by summarizing that episode. Rainbow Dash is applying for the Wonderbolts but has to pass a history test that she's putting off studying for. As soon as it finally gets driven in how she needs to study, she panics. While played for comedic effect, this is actually one of the lesser known symptoms of autism and various other mental disorders. When one is focused on something they enjoy, such as the Wonderbolts, they will block out any parts they don't find as fun, interesting, or enjoyable, such as studying up on history, due to a false but surprisingly strong belief that, if they pretend it doesn't exist, it will cease to exist. Then when the deadline looms, they enter a panic state. And yes, I can see you typing how that's called procrastination. But look at it this way. Sure, Rainbow Dash isn't the scholarly type, but do you think she'd procrastinate something she fully knows is key to getting into the Wonderbolts? She is so obsessed with them that she's willing to cause destruction of property just to look good in front of them, which is an entirely irrelevant problem that we won't touch on right now and has nothing to do with autism or anything else of the sort. The point is that it's just too unlikely she would simply put off studying for the history test, and it's clear she already knows about it, so she doesn't have ignorance as an excuse. But yeah, that's kind of a small detail compared to everything else we can talk about. So let's move on to, well, the solution of the entire episode. Spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't seen it, Rainbow fails to absorb any information from Twilight's classroom approach, Pinky's audio approach, or Rarity and Fluttershy's different takes on the visual approach. So what is it that gets her to finally learn? Not so subtly putting the information she needs along a flight path that she takes, causing her to subconsciously absorb and memorize the information. What I'm trying to say here is that all autistic people can actually fly, and when they do so, their brain power increases tenfold, allowing them to...
Don't mess with my script.
Okay, take 2. Rainbow was able to memorize basically the entire history of the Wonderbolts, and not because she was paying attention. In fact, it's because she wasn't paying attention. She was flying, something she has constantly shown and said to be good at and have as pretty much her favorite activity. By managing to combine it with the presentation of the information, Twilight was able to make her finally learn. But what does this have to do with mental disorders? Well, even if we ignore the fact that this whole episode's moral was that everyone learns in different ways and they shouldn't be judged by how they like to learn, a lesson that definitely sounds like it was geared towards people with mental challenges, many people who suffer from such disorders have great difficulty learning, either due to not paying attention or just not understanding the information presented. But if the method of presentation is just right, usually in the form of something they are more familiar with, they'll pick up on it immediately, even faster than a quote-unquote normal person would. This has been proven through several little teaching methods that are often practiced on younger kids. For example, you know the equations with the greater and lesser than symbols? When one of my math teachers introduced them several years back, I just couldn't even grasp the concept and would look for ways to try and solve the problem without them, even though that is completely impossible. The teacher notices and actually stopped to help me, and since I had of course developed a reputation for being into video games, she turned the symbols into little Pac-Men and said they wanted to eat the larger number. It wasn't the detailed explanations that got me to understand, or the visuals on the board, or the repeated descriptions, or the examples, or the corrections, or the limited help I got from classmates that got me to understand. All that just slid off my brain like raindrops on a slanted roof. But as soon as that triangle got turned into a partial circle, it stuck like superglue. I need better similes. Point is, this tactic is used for both young children and older people with mental disorders. And since Rainbow's enlisting in the equestrian military here, note the use of reserves as what she's joining, and the obvious military themes in the history segments, it's safe to say she isn't a young child. But still, I can already hear you suggesting that maybe she's just slow. Fine, let's take a step back from learning processes because believe it or not, autism is about a lot more than that. Autism is characterized primarily by three things: difficulties with social interaction, communication challenges, and a tendency to engage in repetitive behaviors. While Rainbow is definitely a social pony, social interaction doesn't just refer to how they talk with others. See her confident and almost narcissistic attitude present in basically every episode, and try calling her humble. You really can't. Now, look at the mysterious Mare-Duel, if you can resist the urge to smash her screen while doing so. When she starts getting praise early on, she's blushing. She's actually looking a little embarrassed by the limelight she constantly seeks. That's because of the immediate audience cheering her on. Being praised by one pony is just a confidence boost, and simply knowing ponies know the things she did may just make her giddy. But when she's standing there, being the center of attention for a good deed, it actually makes her almost shy. There's also the fact she's constantly blunt, fails to see things from anyone else's perspectives, and apparently all her boasting is just a mask for severe stage fright and fear of failure, all of which are more well-known parts of social difficulty. You know, if you want the more obvious details. Communication challenges obviously have no part in this, as Rainbow clearly understands sarcasm, body language, and any other method of communication. However, bear in mind not all people with autism suffer from all three of these symptoms, so don't cross it out just yet. I myself grew out of social interaction and communication challenges around the time kids without autism would, so barring just being a weird guy who starts weird topics of conversation, I'm okay on those fronts. What I have a lot of, though, is great enjoyment of repetitive actions, like hitting keys on a keyboard, or placing blocks in Minecraft, or playing Tetris and Pac-Man, or rewatching episodes of a TV show. Or something I bet my more immature viewers are really hoping I say. But what about Rainbow Dash? Does she have any repetitive actions she enjoys? Well, there's flying, as well as rehearsing stunt moves, though those could be attributed to her practicing to join the Wonderbolts. The only real examples of her enjoying repetitive actions we can get are rather small, such as rocking your stool in testing 1 2 3. So by now, my argument probably seems like it's falling apart. Sure, we've got the different way of learning and her social difficulties, but what else? Well, there's two traits of autism that are very much affiliated with Rainbow Dash, and while they alone would not cement her as autistic, I think they can at least act as duct tape to patch up the cracks so far. The first, autistic people have great difficulty lying. Whether it's them unable to tell a little white lie or incapable of keeping up a big persona, the truth just constantly spills out of them. And as we've seen, Rainbow has a very blunt personality and has yet to really keep up a successful lie. Something she seems to be aware of, hence why she just ran away in Party of One to keep herself from spilling the secret party plans to Pinky. Seriously, when the element of honesty herself can tell a lie that sends the mayor home, albeit suspiciously, and you can't, you know you need to get more in touch with your mischievous side. And the second, people with autism are incredibly loyal. While someone who is autistic may have more difficulty making friends, the ones they do will be considered almost like family from the get-go. They warm up faster, they trust you with their life, they feel extremely hurt if you betray them because they would never do the same to you. They see their friends not just as people they have funny conversations with, but as important people who deserve what's best for them. And I don't know about you, but for very obvious reasons, I have yet to see Rainbow Dash ever toss her friends under the bus. It's just not in her element, you could say. So there you have it. My theory, and all necessary evidence to at least give it a base to stand on, of why Rainbow Dash most likely has high-functioning autism. Whether you believe it all or not, that's up to you. Maybe it's just a kid's show and I'm looking too much into it, but it's too fun not to.